Well, McCune Smith was born in 1813 in New York City, a slave. His mother had been a slave in South Carolina, but he's freed on the 4th of July, 1827, when the state of New York freed all of the enslaved people in the state. And he's already at school by that point. He is clearly a brilliant pupil, and he applies for medical school several years later, Columbia and other American universities. He's rejected by all of them, but he's accepted by the University of Glasgow. The difference between Glasgow and the American universities was they did not appear to care about his race. He's a student for 5 years, which is much longer than most people. And we tend to focus on his medical degree in 1837, but he received 3 degrees. Frederick Douglass would later say that he breathed the free air of Scotland, and that made a huge difference, that he began to envision a world completely different from the one he'd grown up in, that there could be a relative equality of the races. When McCune Smith returns to New York City, he is greeted by the free black community as a remarkable individual. He is an ardent abolitionist and he's committed to the race question, but I think he would have resented being defined just by that. He is an educated, enlightened man, and he has opinions and ideas about all kinds of things. And in some ways that was his great influence, to show that black men and women weren't defined simply by slavery and abolitionism, that this was an age when probably the best known doctor in America, Josiah Nott, McCune Smith's contemporary, was a racist slaveholder who believed that slavery was right, that it was justified by God, and was proved by biology. So to have someone like McCune Smith as a doctor in New York City, who was publishing a lot more than Josiah Nott, who was probably a much more intelligent, educated man, was an example in itself. The University of Glasgow can be very proud of its role in helping him achieve that status, in admitting him for study at a time when no American university would, and then in welcoming him into the abolitionist community, supporting his studies financially, supporting the abolitionist community. What he achieves in his status is dependent and builds upon what he does in Glasgow.